All right. Remember, you get points for participating in the chat. You get points for following directions about completing things and having your camera on and all that. That all counts towards your grade. I don't ever go ahead and have you guys do something that I'm not going to give you some credit for. Okay. So we are looking now at equations with variables that are two proportions. Okay, that are proportions. Equations with variables that are proportions. And the way these equations work, when we're going to go solve the variable, we're going to do a process called cross multiply. Since I want to be doing an equation, I got to be using my equation feature. Okay. What color should my pen be in the equation feature? Either red or blue. That is correct. Thank you. So today I think I'm going to go with blue. I think I'm going to go with the darker blue though. I want it to be more showing up. Okay. So I'm going to go with dark blue. I'm going to go with dark blue. And we're going to solve on the Cami. Okay, we're going to be right on the Cami. So that's why you made sure you saved the Cami to your classroom. Okay. So to solve these, I'm going to cross multiply. So let me talk about cross multiply first. Cross multiply means I multiply the top of the left to the bottom of the right and the bottom of the left to the top of the right. So it's no longer a fraction. It's going to be equal to each other. Okay, so we're going to go get our equation. Okay, so my equation here. So the top of the left times the bottom of the right, 2 times n. Well, we just write 2n. Okay, let me see if I can make it bigger. 1 second. I just write 2n. Because I don't know what the n is worth yet, I can't say 2 times the specific number. Okay. And I think I want to make my font bigger too. That's better. Okay. That is going to equal the 5 times the 12. Now, if you notice, I am not using the multiply symbol. Okay. I'm not using the multiply symbol. I am using the parentheses that stands for multiply. And the reason why we're not using the multiply symbol is because we now have letters in our equations. Okay, so we now have letters, so we cannot use X to stand for multiply. We're going to use our parentheses to stand for multiply. Okay, so we need our next equation. Now remember, this is 2 times some number equals 5 times 12. All right, that's what we said. 2 times some number equals 5 times 12. I changed this to 14, so it was bigger. Okay, so the way I undo a multiply is what? What's the opposite of multiply? Dividing. So when we go to do dividing, we do it as a fraction. So we're going to be doing 2n divided by 2, because I have to undo that multiplication. I need the letter by itself, equals a 5 times a 12 divided by 2, because 12 divides by 2 evenly. Now, could I have chosen, make sure you get off before you do the parentheses of the multiple. Could I have chosen to divide 5 by 2? Sure, but does 5 divide by 2 evenly? No. So whenever I'm looking at what I have to divide by, I need to look at which one will divide evenly. Okay, I don't want to be dividing the one that'll make a decimal and things like that. Okay. All right, so we're going to solve this 12 divided by 2. All we have left on the left side is n, because 2 divided by 2 makes what number? What's any number divided by itself? What's any number divided by itself? 1. And so if I multiply by 1, does that change anything? Does multiplying by 1 change anything? No. So we don't need to write that 1 times anymore, because 1 times doesn't make a difference for us. So that is why the 2 over 2 is going to go away, and we're just going to have the letter n on that side. Oops, didn't want to do that. Get off. So I have just the letter n on the left side, because 1 times you don't need to write it. And then I have, it's going to be equal to 5 times, what is 12 divided by 2? Yep, 6. So it's equal to 5 times 6. So that means that my n, my unknown, is equal to how much? My unknown is going to be equal to how much then? 5 times 6. No, not 6 itself. Yeah. So my n has to be 30. Now, what this worksheet says is solve each proportion, find your answer in the code, and each time the answer appears, write that letter above that number. So our number was 30. So we're going to go look in our puzzle, and we're going to find our 30. And above 30, we're going to put the letter I, because that's what was in the circle. Okay, so I'm going to text box. I'm going to go find 30s. Here's a 30. I. Make sure that you're using what 2 colors are our options. Red and blue. That's right. Why is it again that I want red or blue? Who remembers? Who remembers why I want red or blue? Any more 30s? I don't see any more 30s. So why again do I want you writing on your camis with red or blue? I told you once already. Why are we writing on our camis in red or blue? Why did I ask for that? I can wait. You know you guys get points for participation. As well participate in some of the easy stuff. Why do I want red or blue? Yes, because they're easier for me to read it and grade it. And, you know, I've got 90 people. Those aren't my only people. So now we're going to go. Okay. First step. Let me use the line feature and see if it's better. I take the bottom of the left and I multiply by the top of the right. That is better. I like it. And then I'm going to take the top of the right, top of the left, and go to the bottom of the right. Okay. Equation. I'm going to start up here. So I'm going to do my 3 times my n has to equal my 4 times my 9. I'm not solving them. I'm just putting them in the formula. Okay? Then I look at it. I need the n alone. What's with the n that needs to go? I need the n alone. What's with the n that needs to go? The 3. Just like over here, we had a 2 that needed to go. So what did I do to make the 2 leave? You divided it. So we're going to do the same thing here. Anytime you see a number with a variable, that's what you're dividing both sides by. So I have a 3n that I'm dividing by 3. Arrow out. That has to equal. Now, which one of the 2 that we have on the right side should I be dividing by 3? Which one on the right side should be divided by 3? The 9, exactly. So a 4 times a 9 divided by 3. Oh, remember, you have to arrow to the right before you do the parentheses. Okay. Do I need to say 3 over 3 anymore in front of this n? Do I need that 3 over 3 in front of the n anymore? No, because what does 3 over 3 equal again? 1. And does multiplying by 1 matter? No, just gets us in. That's right. So I see some people that are getting participation points because they're actually participating, and some that are. Yes, I look through the chat, and those people get more participation points than the other people who don't. So I just have an n, and it has to equal my 4 times, figure out what the 9 divided by 3 is, and it is what? 3. So that means my final answer, n equals what? 12. All right, so we're going to go up above, and we're going to, anywhere we see a 12, we're going to put the letter S. Okay, so let's see, here's a 12, so I'm going to put an S. Use capitals, it's easier. I see a 12 here. I'm going to put an S. Let's see, where else is there a 12? Any more 12s? I don't see any. Am I missing any? Did I miss any? Okay, so we're going to go do it again. Step 1, we're doing our cross multiply. So I'm going to show my cross multiply. I'm going to go use my line. I'm going to say bottom of left times top of right. That's going to equal top of left times bottom of right. It doesn't matter who goes first. I always put the variable one first, okay? So that's a 6n, 6 times n has to equal a 21 times a 2. Okay? Are we okay with that? Any questions? Okay. So what are we going to do next? What's our next step? Look at the last 2 we've done. What would I be doing now? Dividing by what? What are we going to divide by? Look at the pattern on the 2 we've done. We should be dividing by what's with the n. So we should be dividing by what? Yep, we should be dividing by 6 because our goal is to make what's with the n turn into what number? What's our goal? To turn that number into what easy number that multiplying doesn't matter? 1. Okay, now, this is a semi-trick question. Do either 21 or 2 divide evenly by 6? No. But can I break 6 into parts that can go into 21 and into 2? Yes. What parts can 6 break into that would go into 21? What part then would be going into the 2? Because we have to make sure it's a 6. 3 times what makes 6? 2. So that means I have a 21 divided by a 2 that's going to multiply a 2 divided by a 2. Oops, that's a 21 divided by a 3. I'm sorry. My apologies. 21 divided by 3 and 2 divided by 2. Okay? Because 3 times 2 makes 6, and 3 goes evenly into 21, and 2 goes evenly into 2, obviously. Okay? So whenever the number in front of the variable doesn't right away go into one of the other ones, look to see what multiplies to make it that can go into the other ones, okay? Because we know that this means multiply, parentheses means multiply, so this says 3 times 2 on the bottom. That's still 6, even though we've broken it, okay? Even though we've broken it, it's still the number 6. What's left on the end side? What's left on the end side? What am I going to say is left on the inside? What's going to be left if I divide 6n by 6? Yep, just an n. Okay. And then on the other side, I have a 2 divided by 2. What good is that? What's that become? Becomes 1. So that's all gone. So the right side just says 21 divided by 3. N is going to equal 21 divided by 3, 7. Done. So breaking it into its little parts make it so it's easier to see a final answer. Anywhere there's a G, anywhere there's a number 7, we're going to put the letter G. So let's go find 7s. Put our letter G. There's a 7 here. That's only 7 I see. Does anybody see any other 7s than this? Or is that it? All right. So we're going on to our next one. Leave those. Let's see. Who can tell me the first step? What should I do first? Cross multiply. So I'm going to use my little line feature, and I'm going to connect the bottom of the left to the top of the right, and the top of the left to the bottom of the right to make the cross multiply, right? Then I get my equation. What am I going to say first now that I cross multiply? What do I recommend you always do first? So what am I going to type next? What am I going to type next? What are we going to type next? Okay, look at all the other ones I've done. What should I be typing next? Okay, am I going to do numbers first or am I going to do letters first? Am I going to do the numbers first or am I going to do the letters first? Look at how I did all the other ones. What's on the left side? Now, on the left side, all of these started with letters. So we should always do letters first. Now, I understand in the long run, because they're equal, whoever's on the left versus right doesn't matter so much. But as you get higher in the math, you are going to want to keep in the habit of your letters being on the left. They matter. Okay, they matter in the long run. At this moment, no, but we're learning a process. Okay, what do we do next? What's our next step? Divide 4 and by 4, but I have to divide the other side by 4 as well. And does 4 divide evenly into 10 or into 6? Does 4 divide evenly into 10 or 6? No. But can I break 4 like I did the 6 before? Can I do two things that multiply to make 4 that each go into 10? One goes into 10 and one goes into 6. What can I break 4 by so that one of them is going to go into 10 and one of them is going to go into 6? Okay. What times what makes 4? What times what makes 4? Because when we say what times what, that means we have two numbers, right? What times what makes 4? Okay, I see lots of people writing a single number, and that's not what I'm asking for. What two numbers? So I should see something times something. That's multiplication. A single number is not multiplication. 2 times 2, thank you. So one of them will go with the 10, and one will go with the 6, because 2 times 2 makes 4, and each of those divides by 2. Okay, so we have an n left. We have a 10 divided by 2. What's that? 10 divided by 2. 5 times 6 divided by 2. 3. I see some people getting lots of participation points and some getting none because they're not participating. Okay, so our final answer, n is going to be equal to what? 5 times 3 makes what? 15. N equals 15. All right. So we're going to go anywhere we see a 15, we're going to be putting the letter O. So let's go back up to the top. Anywhere we see a 15, we're putting the letter O. There's a 15. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Just one? I would think there'd be more letter O's. O is a very popular letter in the American language. All right. So now we're looking at the next one. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. What's first? What's first? Cross multiply. So we draw our lines. I'm using the line feature, remember, because it's just easier than trying to use the pencil. Bottom of the left times the top of the right. I'll shift this one down a little bit. Or not. Okay. I think once you got him there, he doesn't want to go anywhere. Fine. Nice, Jim. Start over. Bottom to top has to equal top to bottom. Okay. Then, what are we going to put next? What are we going to put next? Yes, 15n. Thank you. Nice. 15n equals, what are we going to say? 5 times 9. Remember, we're using the parentheses as our multiplies now because x's are variables. Okay. Then what do I do? Then what do I do? Yes, we divide both sides. Well, we divide the n side by 15. Okay. So 15, oops, n divided by 15. And then we start thinking 9 and 5 do not divide by 15. But can I multiply 15 to make something that 9 and 5 do divide by? So I need the two numbers that multiply by 15 that I then can use to divide into the 9 and into the 5. Three times 5. So I have a 5 that I'm going to divide by 5 because that'll take care of the 5 part of it, right? And then I have a 9 divided by a 3 because 3 times 5, the bottom, 15. Okay, it's just broken into its two parts. It's still equal to 15, right? Still equal to 15. So that's telling me that I have an n that equals, what is 5 divided by 5? What's 5 divided by 5? 1. Do we say 1 times things? Do we say 1 times things? Is 1 times something going to change the answer? No. So I only have to worry about the 9 divided by 3 part, and we're done. What is 9 divided by 3? 3. So anywhere I see a 3, I'm going to put the letter Y. Anywhere I see the 3, I'm going to put the letter Y. So let's go find them. Let's go look. I see 1 right away, right here. Is that the only one? They're doing a lot of singles, man. Oops, I want to be text box. That's why. Y. Okay. Next one. What goes first? Run this T. What goes first? Cross multiply. So get our lines. Bottom of the left to the top of the right. Top of the left down to the bottom of the right. Okay. So then what comes next? Then what comes next? Eight n is going to equal what? Eight n is going to equal what? A 12 times a 4. Okay. Next step. What do? We've done a few of these. Divide 8n by 8. 8n divided by 8 has to equal. Now, 8n divided by 8 is correct. But does 8 divide into 12 or into 4 evenly? No. So can I break 8 into its 2 parts that multiply and put one of them into 12 and the other one into 4? Yes. What 2 numbers are we going to use to multiply to make 12? Make 8. What 2 numbers are we multiplying to make 8? Four times 2. So who do you want to be divided by the 4? The 12 or the 4? Who do we want to divide by 4 to make it a simpler problem? The 12 or the 4? Yes, the 4. Why do we want to divide the 4 by the 4? What does that become so we don't have to care anymore? Number 1. So any chance you get when you have the 2 parts and you're looking at the 2 parts and which piece is going to go with which, pick the piece that'll turn one of them into the number 1. Okay? So I have left an n because 8 divided by 8 is 1 and I don't care. 4 divided by 4 is 1 and I don't care. So my answer is 12 divided by 2. 6. Okay, anywhere I see the number 6, I'm putting the letter T. Okay, let's go up, let's look. Do we at least have a few of these? Anywhere we see the number 6, we're gonna put the letter T. Oh yeah, we've got quite a few of these. Okay, there's a T. Here's one. There's a T. It looks so much more promising. Oh well, 2's better than nothing. Okay, next problem. What is always our first step? I forgot a 3? No, because 8 times 2 is 4 times 2. 8 equals 4 times 2. So what are we talking about, Leslie? 1 second, we're answering Leslie's question. Oh, there's one of the 3s? There's a 3 I missed? Oh, there it is, thank you. Oh, why? You would have probably caught it because it would have been just there. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, now we're back to letter U. Okay, what do we do first? What do we do first? No, what do we do first? Cross multiply. Top times the left to right, bottom, left to right. Okay, now we go do what Brian was suggesting and Madison was suggesting. We're doing our first number, 5n. Okay, has to equal the 2 times the 25, right? Next step, what do we do? What's our next step? What's our next step? Divide the letter side by what? What's our next step? So 5n divided by 5. Okay, got it. Has to equal 2 times the 25 divided by 5. This one was super obvious. We knew there was only one of them that would divide, and it did divide evenly. Okay. So I have just an n. And that's equaling 2 times 5, right? Because 25 divided by 5 is 5. So what's our final answer for this one? N equals what? What's our n going to equal? Okay. So everywhere we see a 10, we're going to put the letter U. Everywhere we see a 10, we're going to put the letter U. Let's go. 10. Nope. There's one. Is that our only one? It looks like it to me, but double check. Is that my only one? Yeah, okay. So back to our problems. So step 1, what do we do? We're on like our 8th one. We should know what we're doing. What do we do first? Cross multiply. So get our line, point the bottom of the left to the top of the right, and the bottom of the right to the top of the left, cross multiply. Then we write what? (11n), and it has to equal what? It has to equal what? What's the right side going to say? 3 times 33. Okay. Yes, I know we could figure that out, but we don't want to. Okay. Because these are small enough numbers. But as you notice, pretty soon they're not going to be small numbers anymore. Okay. So it's better to get in the habit of leaving it broken and simplifying. Okay, what's our next step going to say? What's our next step going to say? (11n divided by 11. Thank you. Okay. Now, does something on the right-hand side divide evenly by 11 so I don't have to worry about the break? Yes. What divides evenly on the other side? The 33. Okay, so I don't have to worry about the break like we had to worry back in 2 back, where we had to worry about that 15 and that 8 and the 6 because it didn't go in evenly right away. Okay, so that's the biggest difference. Sometimes you're going to want to break it into its parts because it doesn't go evenly by itself, but this one went evenly by itself. We're going to say that n equals 3 times what? 33 divided by 11 is what number? Another 3. Okay. 3 times 3. Not 2, 3. So what does our n have to equal then? N equals 9. Do not skip steps. Okay. I know some of you are comfortable with math. All right. Some are not. And since I'm the one grading the tests and stuff, you're going to do it my way. It's okay. It won't kill you. So wherever there's a 9, we're going to put the letter A. So no. Here's 1. A. There's 1. A. Is that all? That's all I see. Do you see another A? We do? Where? No. Okay. All right. Darn, I was hoping we had more. All right. Now we're on L. What do we do first? What's always our first step? The cross multiply marks. Cross multiply marks. Cross multiply marks, right? Then we start writing our equation. What do I write first? 7n, and it has to equal. What am I going to do on the other side? Yep, the 10 times the 49. All right. Next row down. What are we going to do now? Seven n divided by 7. Yep. 7n divided by 7 has to equal. Which one is the 7 going into? The 10 or the 49? Which one is the 7 going to go into? The 10 or the 49? 10 stays, 49 goes. Okay, so 10, 49 divided by 7. Get out of it. Nope. Parentheses. Okay. So we know we now have an n that equals what 2 numbers? What 2 numbers are multiplying now? The 10 times the 7, because 49 divided by 7 is 7. Yep. Okay, so we can get our final answer. N equals how much? 70. Okay. L's for 70. There's an L. It's okay. Get what you can get. Remember, it's recording and you can watch it later and get some more from it. I only see 170. Does anybody else see another 70? No. Okay. Darn it, I was hoping that they would have more. All right. Remember, we're doing the same thing over and over and over. We're just changing the numbers. So what's going to be our first step? Cross multiply. Bottom times top has to get us top times bottom. Then what? 9n equals, what am I going to put? 6 times 6, that's right. Okay. Next row down. What's it going to say? What's it going to say? That 9n is divided by 9, and it has to equal. Now, does 9 go evenly into 6? No, but can I break 9 into 2 parts and put part with each 6? Yes. So 3 times 3. Okay, so each 6 is going to get a 3. Give me a moment. Each 6 is going to get a 3. So I'm going to have a 6 divided by a 3 go off, and a 6 divided by 3. Okay? Because I broke the 9 into the 2 numbers that multiply to make it, and I gave each part to a 6. So what is 6 divided by 3? 2. So both of those say 2. So it's going to say n equals what? 2 times 2. Thank you. For a final answer of n equals 4. Do not jump the 2 times 2 step. So anywhere we see the number 4, we're putting the letter V. I see 1. Do you see any other ones? I don't. Trying to look at what number is the most. All right. Step 1. I draw my cross multiply lines. Right? Step 2. 72n equals an 18 times a 4. Is everybody okay right there? Anybody not know where that stuff came from? Speak now. So what's my next step? What am I going to write next? What am I going to write next? Yep, 72n divided by 72. Yep. Now, does 72 go into 18? No. Does 72 go into 4? No. So we have to break 72 into parts so that one piece can divide the 8 and the other piece divides the 4. So we got to think of numbers where one will divide the 18 and the other will divide the 4. Now, does 8 divide 4? No, 4 divides 8, but 8 doesn't divide 4. Right? 4 divides 8, but 8 doesn't divide 4. So we might want to make sure that we have to do it in 2 steps. Okay, so we do it in 2 steps. Is it going to bother us? No. 72 n, no, n, yeah, 72n over 72 has to equal an 18 divided by a 9. a 4 divided by a 4 and then times 2. Oh, no, and a 1 divided by a 2. Okay, now, why did I say 1 divided by 2? Because 8 doesn't go into 4. And 4 times 2 makes 8. So we're making sure that 9 times 4 times 2, okay, that whole bottom is that 72, right? That whole bottom is the 72. What piece can we get rid of because it's not important anymore? What piece can we get rid of because it's not important anymore? Which piece can go? It's not important anymore. If I look at my three fractions, my 18 over 9, my 4 over 4, and my 1 over 2, which one of those doesn't matter anymore because it's multiplying and it doesn't do anything? Multiplying by it doesn't change anything. Can you message her back that she needs to message me directly through email? Okay. I need students not trying to relay messages through other students. They need to take their responsibility and email me. I don't have a problem with it, but I need her to send me the email, okay? So, which one of those 3 pieces makes the number 1? Because remember, number 1 doesn't matter. Number 1 doesn't matter. So which one of those 3 pieces is the number 1 in disguise? Is 18 over 9 1 in disguise? 4 over 4 1 in disguise? Or 1 over 2 1 in disguise? Four over 4 is 1, so we don't need it anymore. It's gone. Okay, it's gone. We need to figure out what is the 18 divided by the 9 equal? 2, and it's multiplying times 1/2. So that's saying half of 2 is my answer. What is half of 2? 1. Okay, so sometimes you have to break it into 3 parts because 4 cannot be divided by 8. 4 can divide into 8, but 4 cannot be divided by 8, okay? So the answer 1 is the letter Z. There has to be at least one of them or they wouldn't bother. Okay, there's one, Z. Right, I did a wrong tool. Are there any other Z's? I don't see them, but do you see any other Z's? That's what I did. The 1 over is, do I have any others than that? No, okay. Okay, now we're on this one. First, we show our cross multiply lines, bottom left, top right, top left, bottom right. Then we write our first step equation. What's our first step equation going to be? What are we going to write? What's our first step of the equation going to say? Yes, 20n will equal what? What's the other side going to say? Two times 50, exactly. You guys are getting it. Okay. So get my equation. Yep. 20 n's has to equal 2 times the 50. Next step of the equation is going to say what? What's our next step going to say? Divide 20n by 20, and then we have to look at, does 20 go into 50 just evenly, or does 20 go into 2 evenly? If not, what should I break the 20 into? What are the 2 parts I want to break the 20 into? What are the 2 parts I want to break the 20 into? Okay, a 2 divided by 2 and a 50 divided by a 10. Exactly, because 2 times 10 makes 20, so I'm still dividing by 20. I'm just dividing by 20 as its parts. The 20 as its parts. Okay. What piece now disappears? Because we do not care. It became a 1, and it doesn't matter. It's the 2 over 2. So this says n equals 50 divided by 10 is what? Because we don't care about that number 1. 5. So anywhere there's a 5, we're going to put a letter H. Okay, so here's an H. Pick the right tool. H and an H. And there's an H here. Ooh, we got a few on this one. I got 3. Anybody got more than 3? Oh, there's one. I didn't type. H. So I only got 3 of them, right? Any more 5s than that? Okay. So here we go. First, we make our cross multiply marks. Then we go do our first step, which would be what? What would my whole first line say? Not just the left side, but the whole thing. What's the whole thing gonna say? What's that whole first line gonna say? From left all the way to equal sign and then all the way to the right. Come on, guys. Yes. Okay. Wait a minute. I have a student that I had to send a message to. Okay, so my 7n is going to equal my 14 times my 4. Okay, what's my next row going to say? What's my next row going to say? Come on, guys. What's the next row going to say? No, we're not going to find 14 times 4. We already put that there. See? What's my next row going to say? We're doing whole rows now, not just pieces. So what's the next row going to say? What are we going to do next? That we've done 12 times. I think this is our 13th one. Let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep, this is our 13th one. So what are we going to write next? What comes next? Next row. What's the next row say? Yep, nice. I don't think we're going to have a 4/4 and a 1/2 because all we have is 7 to work with. The only reason why we had the extra pieces on that other one is we had 72 to work with, and that had to be broken into lots and lots of pieces, okay? Because we have a 14 that divides by a 7, and we're done with that division stuff. Okay, the only reason why I had to do 3 parts for this one right here is because 9 times 4 times 2, all of those made that 72, okay? We just need a 7. 7 goes in evenly, okay? What's my next row going to say? Now that we've divided those pieces by 7, what would be left? If I divide the 7n by the 7, what's going to be left? If I divide the 7n by the 7, what's going to be left? I see a few of you that are going to be getting lower participation grades because you've chosen to turn off your cameras. I still see it. Okay, and a 14 divided by a 7 is what? 2. And the 4 is still there. So my final answer for this, n equals how much? Eight. So anywhere there's an 8, we're going to put a W. Text box. I see an 8 here. Capital W. Is that it? Is that our only W? These are very disappointing. I feel like more should be filling in. Were there any other 8s that I missed? Okay. All right. First step, show the cross multiply. Second step, what do we write? The whole thing. Our first equation box, all the way from left to right, will say what? 8n equals a 12 times a 12, exactly. Okay, now we start to think. Will 8 go into 12 evenly? Will 8 go into 12 evenly? No. So we're going to break the 8 into the 2 things that multiply to make it, and one goes to the first 12 and one goes to the second 12, right? So what 2 things multiply to make 8? Because we know it's 8n divided by 8. What are our 2 numbers we're going to use? A 4 and a 2, right? Oops. So that my bottom, 2 times 4 makes that 8. But I'm not using the same number for both of them because I need to multiply to make 8. And I want to divide evenly into 12. Okay. N equals, what does the first thing say? 12 divided by 4 gets me what? 3. Times the 12 divided by the 2 gets me what? 6. Okay, because remember, 4 times 2 made that 8. So the whole bottom should still equal. The 4 equals the The 8 equals the 4 times the 2, okay? So our final answer for E is what? N equals what? 18. So anywhere we see an 18, we're putting our letter E. Here's an E. Here's an E. Ooh. Yay, we finally got one that gave us quite a bit, huh? There's an E. There's an E. Are there any more? Yeah, there's one right here, right? Did I get them all? Did I get them all? Did I miss any? Pardon me. Did I miss any? Okay. Okay, step 1, cross multiply marks. Now, some of the elementary teachers call this the butterfly method because in elementary, they have you circle them. And when you circle them, they look like a butterfly. But the correct math term is cross multiply. And we are now big kids, so we're using the correct terms. Okay. All right. So what's my first row going to say? What's my first row going to say? One times n equals a 4 times a 13. Remember, we always substitute into the rule before we start solving anything. And yes, I understand that 1 times n is just n, but that's going to be our next box. Our n is going to equal how much? What is a 4 times a 13? We list all 4 parts in that first box, so we know we've handled everything. And we start cleaning up with our second box. So I have a 4 times a 13. How much does that get me? $52. Okay. 52s are B's. Let's see. No. There it is. When there has to be at least one, or they wouldn't bother, right? There's a B. Any other B's? I don't see. No. Okay. Cross multiply lines. Sometimes it's more fun with sound effects. Okay, first line says what? First line is going to say what? All the way from left to right, what are we going to say? All the way from left to right, what are we going to say? Remember, this is where all 4 parts show up. So what are we going to say? Someone tell me, what's my first box going to say? Mm-hmm. 6n equals 24 times 5. Thank you. Come on, guys. 6n equals 24 times 5. All right. Next box. Someone else tell me, what is it going to say? Someone else tell me. You want participation points. Someone else had, other than Brian and a couple other people, need to be answering, or you guys' participation is dropping. What's my next row gonna say? I think there's pieces missing. Because I have a 6n equals a 24 times a 5. I want to know what the next row is going to say. And Matthew, that says divide, so be careful about that. I think you hit the wrong button. What's our next row going to say? We've already got the 6n equals the 24 times the 5. What's the next row going to say? Someone other than Brian or Matthew? Because for the most part, they're the only ones getting participation points, with a few people flying in every here and there. What's my next level going to say? Do the whole row. So keep going, Madison. 6n over n has to equal what? No, not over n, over 6. You said it right, I said it wrong. Has to equal what, Madison? What's the next side going to say? And we need to be putting these in the public chat, in the everyone chat, because they do show up on the video. And we want people to be able to see what it is and where it's coming from. What's our other side of the equal sign going to say? Keep going. Okay, 24 over 6, go off the e times the 5. Because the 6 goes evenly into the 24, we're going to have the 6 go into the 24. If the number went evenly into the 5, we'd be having it go into 5. That's what we've been doing the whole time. Okay, I know I have just an n. I have a 24 divided by 6. What does that get me? What does a 24 divided by a 6 get me? 4. And then times the 5 that's still there. We haven't fixed the 5 yet. So our final n is going to equal how much? N equals 20. Okay, so 20s are ours. So 20s are ours. There's an R. Oops, wrong one. Text box. Listen, it's going the wrong way. There's an R, and here's an R, and here's an R. Do I have any more 20s? Nope, I do not. I'm looking to see, as we finish up stuff, by chance, did we miss putting answers somewhere? Nope, not so far. All right, here we go. First step, draw the cross multiply. Now, I know some of you are not visual learners, but for the visual learners, that's a huge step right there. Okay, getting a visual connection. What's my whole first line going to say? All the way from left to right, including the equal sign and everything. What's it going to say? 25n equals the 10 times the 40. Yes. Nice. Okay. Now, does 25 divide evenly into 10? Does 25 divide evenly into 40? If it doesn't, what do we have to make the 25 into? So a piece goes to the 10 and a piece goes to the 40. What are we going to have to make that 25 into? So a piece goes to the 10 and a piece goes to the 40. How do we make 25? So part will go into. So we're going to have a 10 that's being divided by one of the 5s, that makes 25, times the 40 that's divided by the other one, that's making the 25. So the bottom says 5 times 5 is 25, And the top is the 10 and the 40. So we're going to simplify. What is a 10 divided by a 5 going to simplify to? 2. What's the 40 divided by 5 going to simplify to? 8. So my final answer for n is n equals what? 16. Okay, so n is 16. So t, here's an n, 16. Here's an n, 16. There's an n, 16. Do we see any other 16s? What I figured out is they're leaving some spaces blank so that you can break your words up. I was worried that we weren't going to be done. I figured it out. Okay, so last one. What's our first step? You tell me. What am I going to do first? What are you going to do first? Yes, we're going to do What are we going to do first? All the time. That's second, Matthew. What's first? The cross multiply. Yes. I know it seems silly, but take the time to let your brain process. Okay, and then our first row says 30 times the n has to equal the 24 times the 100. Okay. So what's our next row going to say? Now, does our 30 go into 24? Or does our 30 go into 100? Or are we going to have to break the 30? We're going to have to split the 30. And there's more than one way you can split 30. Which way do we want to split 30? A 10 times a 3. Okay. Who's going to get the 10 and who's going to get the 3? Okay, so the 10 is going to go to the 100, which means the 3 goes to the 24. Like that? Okay. So what is a 24 divided by 3 going to get us? 8. What's 100 divided by 10 going to get us? 10. So our overall answer says n equals what? 80. So I'm going to go up to the top. I'm going to get my text box, and my 80 is n, right? Is that what we said? No, p. 80 is p. So p and p. Is that it? Are those my two 80s? Is that it? Okay, so now remember, these are the corny riddles, like for fourth graders, so you just overlook the fact that it's a corny riddle, right? Here we go. This says, what do you call the Jolly Green, what should the Jolly Green Giant receive? The Nobel Peas Prize. And why did it take the goat more than 3 hours to finish the 20-page book? He wasn't very hungry. Okay, make sure you go up and hit the save button. Save now. Make sure you go up and hit the save now. And hit the turn in button. Turn in your Google Classroom and the Kami attached to it. Turn in our Google Classroom and the Kami attached to it. Now, your homework assignment is the similar process, but it has some word problems on it. Yes, turn it in, done or not. Now you must turn it in. So whatever you finished, turn it in. Whatever you finished, turn it in. So for your assignment, there is word problems. I am gonna go do the first word problem G for you for free. So you don't see it yet because I haven't done it yet. I'm gonna go do the first word problem G. Now, if you notice there's not enough space here, so I'm going to be adding, one of the things that's nice in Kami, I'm going to be adding at the bottom a page. I'm going to add a blank page. And the work is going to be done on this blank page. Okay, the work is going to be done on the blank page for all the problems. So I'm going to have gone down to the blank page, and I will be nice. I will solve one, and I will solve A, and I will solve G. So you will have those done for free, so you can have them to model for the other ones. All right, I will have solved A, and I will have solved G. All right, everybody by now should have turned in their Google Classroom in-class assignment. This will be reposted with the amendments on it a little bit later today. Your Delta Math will post a little bit later today. All right, have a good day, guys. The recording will post to this assignment later today. It'll be at the bottom, okay? All right, everybody should have turned in. Bye.